Hi, everyone. Mike White here. Welcome to this week's vlog post. Well, we've got some big news, and the news will only grow in impact in our industry in the weeks, months to come. And I've titled this, Let the Buyer Beware, because, again, a monumental ruling last Tuesday by a jury, and it ruled against NAR and how real estate commissions are established and set up and divided. And a jury ruled in favor of the plaintiffs. They were home sellers that were, in essence, uh, complaining about the fact that why should they have to pay money for the buyer's representation. And so they filed a lawsuit, and jury ruled in favor of the plaintiffs with a verdict of $1.78 trillion. Pretty significant situation for sure. Now, we all know NAR doesn't have that kind of money, not even remotely close to that kind of money. And that kind of money is not going to change hands. It'll probably be settled in one way, shape, or form or another for something different, but it really throws into play how all of that stuff is done. And the judge in the case may very well decide to eliminate the existing cooperative compensation rule that realtors use, that basically divides the commission between the seller's agent and the buyer's agent, the commission that seller pays. And so it may very well change that dynamic significantly. Certainly, the process as it stands right now is going to have to be changed, modified, revamped, something along the way. And it may fundamentally change how all real estate is done. And again, nothing's been set in stone just yet. Clearly, there are going to be opportunities for all kinds of appeals and decisions and choices and things that have to be made. In retrospect, I look at these things and say it could take, again, months and years for these things to take place. But something could come out today, tomorrow, next week that fundamentally eliminates things, depending upon how judges rule and how quickly things get appealed or injunctions or whatever, or if the parties just settle. Facing a $1.78 trillion judgment, maybe there is a backup plan on how legally they're going to be able to establish what goes on. But clearly, it's information that you need to be aware of. And I want to caution you, just like I don't expect anybody to watch my blog post or read what I wrote and take it as chapter, verse, and law. I expect people to double check the things that I say and do and verify that through independent other sources. I caution you, you've seen in the past few years how social media and the so-called mainstream media experts have been wrong time and time and time again about their prognostications as to what goes on in the mortgage and real estate markets. And I am urging you, just a simple Google search. You can find, I looked yesterday and part of when the ruling first came out on Tuesday, the number of articles that were already written. There are plenty of articles that are written by reputable, or do I use air quotes, reputable news sources about what happened and what this could mean. And again, there's a big difference. What happened is there was a jury verdict in a case that fundamentally challenged how real estate commissions were established and shared. And the jury found in favor of the plaintiffs and awarded $1.78 trillion to those plaintiffs. Now, again, long, arduous process could be in front, but things could happen rapidly. People could voluntarily States may step in and decide to change the way that they view things. Companies may step in and change the way that they do things. This could fundamentally change how real estate is conducted, or it may just be an agreement that gets put into place that changes the way people view real estate transactions. Because even though there are listing agreements and people are supposedly notified in writing as to how these things go, clearly, currently, the way things are being done, at least one jury has made a decision that that was not fair to sellers, and that it needed to be changed and awarded damages accordingly. So it's important that you know, it's important that you verify information, but it's also important that you get out in front of this story, because it is a story, and you do have to talk to, your referral partners. Again, does this change how, listing agents have a bunch of buyer's agents? And, does it change what happens where now is it a listing agent and their own team that has to sell the house? And now, can't be shared, or maybe it stays within a company, or, maybe we go back to buyer's agency fee agreements. And I don't know. I really don't know. And I don't think anybody is 100% certain about how this is going to look. But it is important news, and you need to do a couple of Google searches and pull down, 2, 3, 4 of the articles that you can verify, and be aware of the information and have these questions, because your real estate agents are going to ask about it. Your buyers are certainly going to ask you about it. It may change. What if buyer's agents disappears? Right? What happens if that happens? Then now, all these years that I've been talking about, stop wasting time with your buyer's agents and get in front of the listing agents, because they actually have more control over customers. That was an obvious thing to me, more than 20 years ago, but it was never widely adopted. What happens if buyer's agents disappear? What if the circle closes? What if it expands? We don't know, but we do know that last Tuesday, a jury found in favor of plaintiffs about the way real estate commissions were, paid and how they were shared, and that it's not going to go away. So it is something you need to be aware of. Other things that are not going to go away is today, obviously, initial jobless claims is going to come out today. Continuing claims is going to come out today. Could impact the markets. We've seen really solid improvement the last few days in the marketplace. The Fed yesterday held off. They paused. They continued their pause on hiking interest rates. Again, they still have another meeting in December. They could raise rates again. Nothing stops them from raising rates, but it's nice to see a pause and a reflection point to see what the markets are going to do. And again, it doesn't mean that the trend of rising rates has reversed completely. It just means that we've had a good few days, and you need to be, aware of that. So pay attention. And then Friday, the October jobs report is going to come out. These two things are going to have significant impacts on the market and may weigh heavily on the Fed decision in December as to whether they stand pat or they raise rates. Either way, I think those are the only two choices. I don't see a rate cut in the near future for sure. So, going ahead, I think more than likely, depending upon, how things are going, we're going to hopefully continue to see the Fed pausing and allowing the past actions to, work through the marketplace. But you never know with the war in the Middle East and, other things going on. A lot of things can happen. You need to be aware of when these decisions are being made and the impacts of those decisions. And I try to caution you about that stuff week in and week out, because people are going to ask. So the biggest piece of the puzzle this week is that lawsuit, that and the judgment, and how it's going to impact real estate commissions and how real estate business is going to be done into the future. And we need to be aware of it. But, unemployment numbers, jobs report, all things really important. Fed meeting yesterday, obviously it was important. this information is important for you to be on top of. And if you've got questions or comments about how this is, going to go through, I'm planning on having a conversation with some people who are on the real estate side and get their take on what's happening and what it might mean, going forward. But for now, collect the information, understand that this is the beginning of what may be a very long process, but at any time, significant information could come out and you need to be aware of what's happening. As always, questions or comments, Mike at imtcoaching.com. We'll talk to you again next week. Take care.